Let's tie a Hellgrammite. We got a wiggle shank from the Flyman Fish Company and some 8/0 brown thread. Tie the thread in behind the eye and wrap it back to the back. Just lay down a good base of thread. I've got a piece of large wire. This just happens to be red. It doesn't have to be red, it could be any color, but it's just a large diameter. And the reason I'm tying it in, why I'm using it, is to give some breadth or width to my fly, to help its profile. You don't have to use it, but I just think it adds to the profile of the fly. I'm going to tie it up at the front. I like leaving that little bit of gap. Now I'm going to tie it in pretty loose, and the reason for that is that the wire has a tendency to pinch up or not stay off to the sides. So if I wrap it with loose wraps, it'll let me add some super glue to it, a bed of super glue to it, and then wrap tighter wraps onto it, and then I get a flatter look. You'll see what happens as we go along. See right there, it pinched. And see the thread wire, see how it came down? Now I'll take my pliers and I'll pinch that wire flat so that all three sections line up. The shank and the two sides from the wire. See how that flattened out now? Yeah. Now I got a drop of super glue. See, I don't have all the thread down yet. I'll take it and I'll wipe it on both, put a drop and wipe it on both sides of the shank. And then I'm going to take my rag and just wipe it off, and whatever excess is left is sufficient. Now I can come back with tighter wraps and then fill in the gaps. And all I'm doing it for is to give it some breadth, some width to my fly in the abdomen section. I actually got this trick from a guy who ties realistic flies. And they use it for their golden stone. But they use different materials. See how I'm just flattening it out? Just to give it some width to my fly. Now I'm going to take 4 pieces of ostrich herl. This herl is actually tan, but then it's got brown barring on it, so it gets very variegated, the look. You can just use straight brown or tan. I would, if I didn't have this ostrich herl, I'd probably just use straight brown. And not a rust brown, more of a mahogany brown. Just aligning up the tips. Tie in my ostrich herl. Now I've got a piece of light tan nymph skin. I've cut a little angle in it. I'm tying in back in where I tied my ostrich herl. And I'm tying off the thread here because I'm going to use that bobbin of thread to create my legs on my abdomen. I take another bobbin of thread. This is also 8/0 brown, and I'm going to use it to tie off my nymph skin. Now I'm going to wrap my nymph skin up to the front with concentric wraps. That glue also helps that stuff stay in place. I'm going to bring it up to the front and tie it off really well. I stretch it a little bit. And this is where it can get away from you. So just be careful. I have a tendency to maybe over tie off a little bit, but it's just because I've lost that by stretching that nymph skin, and it's gotten away from me before. I'm going to trim it off. We'll finish off with the thread and trim my thread. Now I'm taking a dark brown marker and I'm just coloring the top of it. If you ever notice on most bugs, the top portion is dark and the underbelly is a little lighter. Here I'm just taking out the wire, excess wire. Now I'm going to take 2 pieces of ostrich herl and twist it, and then I'm going to take a wrap around the thread. And you know how you take something, you twist it and you let it loose a little bit and it knots up? I'm going to take advantage of that knot. This is actually called a pot's weave. And see how I'm wrapping it around? Wrap it around once, let it bundle up, release the tension, let it bundle up, and then just bring my thread over the top. And bring it all the way up, just work it up to the top, to the front. What's happening is when you twist that ostrich herl, it makes it fur. And what I'm trying to do is keep that ostrich herl on just the edge of the abdomen. Now I'm going to go back in, tie my thread in, and do the other side. Once again, I'm taking out that excess piece of wire that I used for the abdomen section. Take my ostrich herl, put it in my hackle pliers, and spin it. Now, the cool part would be to take, if you don't have that barred, tan barred, dark brown barred ostrich herl, is just to use 2 pieces of tan and 2 pieces of dark brown, and then match dark brown and tan together, and that would give you that variation. Or any other combination. You could actually do olive and tan, olive and brown, depending on the bugs in your area. Once again, I've got that spinned ostrich herl. Using the pot's weave, come around, and just work my way up the abdomen. And once again, also trying to keep the legs to the side of the bug. This is the long, tedious portion of the fly. to tie the fly, but the look that you get from this is just incredible. And tie off my thread and trim. And what's nice about this, if you don't get it on the edge, you can actually just push that ostrich turtle right to where you want it to stay on the edge of the abdomen section. See, I'm just pushing it off to the sides. See that look? I think that looks worth a million. I just like that look. Put a little UV nonsense just to give it a little shine. Hit it with the laser. What I'll do is actually bench cure my flies with that laser. Then I'll take my flies and put them in my little nail dryer for about 2 minutes. It'll take any resin. I'm just brushing out any resin and harden it up, cure it up. I'm just taking out and flaring out that ostrich turtle. And trim off that excess piece of the shank. Now what I have here is a TMCO 2487 in a size 14 with a 2mm gold bead. Move my vise so you can see more of it. Once again, this is 8/0 brown thread. This is actually Good Broad, but the unis just works just as well. Now I'm taking a piece of 50-pound mono, cut off about a 1/2 inch length of it, and then I'm going to crimp it in the middle. So I create a flat spot. I'm going to take my tweezers and wave it through a flame to make my eyes. And I just keep waving until I get the effect that I'm looking for. Most guys burn one end and then the other, and then their eyes are not even. Here I get even eyes every time. So tie it in. Now I'm leaving about 1/2 an eye's width in front of these eyes. Just figurating underneath the eyes. Lock those babies in. Push my bead up. And bring it to the back, the thread. Now I'm taking a piece of 3X fluorocarbon tippet, and once again I'm crimping a little flat spot in it. In fact, I'm crimping 2 flat spots. with about 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch in between. I'm going to match those two flat spots up and then create that loop in the middle, and that will be my hinge for my abdomen section. And the reason I'm doing it is to create more, once again, more surface area to contact both the hook as well as the other flat spot to get a nice loop. I do one loop over it and then I pull back on it to adjust it so they match up. So you see that? So I've got two flat spots matched up to a flat spot tied to the hook. Gives me a good little loop there. Now I go over the top, under the front of the eyes, and then over the top again, and then tie off. That way, say the fish bites the abdomen section, all that energy goes directly into the hook and not into the fluorocarbon. Put a little drop of super glue just to help it out. Also so my eyes will stay in place. Always dab after with a rag to take off the excess super glue. It absorbs as much as it needs right off the bat, and then you're just trying to take off the excess. Now I've got a piece of, once again, that light tan nymph skin, and cut a little bit of a taper. And tie it in the back. Now, sometimes I don't do this well, and I'll tie it in and I'll unwrap it. Didn't like it, so I'm going to do it again. And it's important, kind of important, because you're going to pull that over the top, and you want it to be not leaning to one side or the other, or it'll look like it's twisted. The fish don't care, but I do. I also, at the same time, because of this, I get a little bit of buildup, which I'm trying to get. I want a broader head on this. If I were to just use medallion sheeting or something else, it would not give me the breadth that I'm looking for. Now I've taken a piece of natural hen saddle and I've pulled off the fuzzies at the bottom, separated the tip to it. I'm tying in by the tip, and then I'm just going to wrap that, and that'll be my legs for the front legs and pinchers for the front. Also, it'll move like a son of a gun in the water. Now I'm going to do as best I can to preen back those feathers, but a little tough some days. I'll worry about it later. I'll just preen it back later. Sometimes my own fingers get in my own way. It's like working with Vienna sausages. Now already you can see how buggy feel I'm getting with all of this ostrich herl as well as this hen saddle. Now I'm going to take my nymph skin and pull it up over the top, right in front of the eyes, mono eyes, and that's why I've got that little gape in there. And tie that down really, really well. And the reason for it too, I'm being a little cautious, is because I like to cut that as close as I can, but I'm worried about getting so close that I nip my thread. So I stretch it and pull it and then cut it. So I got that little nib there. I don't worry about that too much though. I'm trying to get some of the fibers up to the front of it, not stuck all to the back. Kind of looks like I'm trying to do a magic trick and do something behind what my fingers are hiding, but no, it's just trying to get my hairs those fibers to end up in the right spots. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get segmentation up on that front section. That's what I've done here. Trim off my thread. And take my marker. This is just a dark brown marker. Color my eyes with a black Sharpie. A little coat of UV resin. And hit it with my laser. Get the fibers just to splay out a little bit. And this is my Hellgrammite.